Rev it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 1850. Be prepared to be inspired.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
Hello, inspiring automotive enthusiasts, and welcome to Cars Yeah. Today I'm in Fallowfield, PA, with a very special guest by the name of Dick Vermeil, but we all know him as Coach. Hey, Coach, welcome to Cars Yeah. Do you have any gear, and are you ready to release the clutch?
Well, I am, yeah. I hope I don't slip it, but I am ready. Thank you for having me on.
Well, really nice to have you here. Now, before I give you a proper introduction, as if you really need one, would you share one little thing that maybe most people don't know about you?
Well, I grew up in a garage, okay? The garage was 25 yards behind the house, called the Owl Garage, O-W-L, because my dad worked all night. His friends nicknamed it the Owl Garage. So I grew up in that environment, so that I've maintained an interest in cars and race cars and that kind of stuff all through my football career.
Oh, this is cool. Well, this is a perfect fit then, because when I was first introduced to you, I went, okay, he's a Hall of Famer, a Super Bowl winning football coach. What does this have to do with cars? But listeners, I'll explain that right now. Super Bowl winning Hall of Fame coach Dick Vermeil will be at the 4th Annual Philadelphia Concours d'Elegance that takes place on July 17th at the world famous Simeon Foundation Automotive Museum. Regular listeners will remember Fred Simeon, who was a guest here on Cars Yeah. Coach is the retired head coach for the NFL's Philadelphia Eagles, St. Louis Rams, and Kansas City Chiefs. He's a driving support for a cause that's near and dear to his heart. It's called Cool Cars for Kids. It's a nonprofit established at the Concours in affiliation with the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. He sits on their board and shares his 1926 Ford Miller Schofield Special Sprint car that he calls Black Beauty. Coach has a passion for winemaking and classic cars, and on July 16th, he'll be hosting a charity virtual wine tasting event in support of Cool Cars for Kids and the Philadelphia Concours d'Elegance. We'll be back in just a minute, but first a word from our sponsors. Sit tight. We're on the field with Coach. We'll be right back. Summer's here, thank goodness, and that means long, hot days. Covercraft's UVS custom sunscreens are quality made and are incredibly fast and easy to use. Your UVS sunscreen is custom tailored for your vehicle, and the accordion design ensures easy storage. Not only do they protect your dash and interior for maximum protection while parking in the sun, sunscreens keep your vehicle's interior significantly cooler. They're durable and dependable for years of use. I have one for all my vehicles, and I use them every time I park my car when I'm not going to put the cover on. You can choose from a variety of colors, including the original, their Premier Series, and Carhartt designs. Your sunscreen is manufactured with the quality and attention to detail that's been the standard for Covercraft since 1965. And they make really great gifts, too. Get your summer deal today if you use the code YEAH21, YEAH21 at covercraft.com. You'll get 10% off your Covercraft order. That's right, 10% off compliments of Cars Yeah. Simply use the code YEAH21 at checkout. Covercraft, protecting the things that move you. Get your own custom sunscreen today. I was talking with a buddy of mine the other day, and he asked me about American Collectors Insurance. He said, while I listen to you on Cars Yeah, you're always talking about agreed value collector car insurance. Well, I insure all my cars on my regular auto insurance policy, and I've done it for years. Why use a different company for my collector cars? I get a multi-car discount. Isn't that good enough? I suggested he call his carrier and ask how much he would get if his collector car was totaled or stolen. He called back and said, boy, that was a scary conversation. The value of my car wasn't even close to what it's really worth. Thank you for the education, Mark. So don't just hope for a fair claim settlement. Be certain and know exactly what you'll receive with an agreed value policy. American Collectors Insurance has been protecting enthusiasts since 1976. Give them a call today for your personal agreed value quote at 866-ACI-YEAH. That's 866-224-9324. Tell them you're a friend of Mark Green's at Cars Yeah. American Collectors Insurance, classic car insurance designed by collectors for collectors, automotive enthusiasts just like you and me. They're the ones that insure my car. That's American Collectors Insurance. All right, Coach, we are back. So let's dive a little deeper into the corner since you're in that sprint car with your dad. And I'd love for you to talk a bit more about your involvement with Cool Cars for Kids, because everybody listening who loves football knows of the history and what you've done in football. But today we're going to be talking about cars and things and this near and dear charity of choice. So tell us more about it, would you?
Well, the Cool Cars for Kids organization was started by Dr. Ian Krantz, who specializes in genetic disorders with newborn children. And we were unfortunate to have a grandchild born with genetic problems 28 years ago. And because of Amy Vermeil's problems and the cooperation we got from Children's Hospital of Pennsylvania, and then Dr. Ian Krantz and everything, she is living a very comfortable life and a wonderful little gal and sort of the head coach of the Vermeil family. But we have such respect and admiration for what they do at CHOP, and specifically Dr. Ian Krantz and his Cool Cars for Kids. We got involved in the initial phase of the program 4 years ago. Normally, you have a banquet the night before, then the Concours d'Elegance the next day, and then in Simeon Museum and all that kind of stuff. But last year, of course, it was all canceled. So this year we were not able to go ahead on the night before, which is July 16th, and hold our normal banquet and fundraiser and auction and that stuff. So we decided to do a Vermeil Wines virtual event in which people come in at a sponsorship level and receive, a rewards from Vermeil Wines, which is a small little business in Calistoga, Napa Valley, where I was born and raised. We make 2,500 cases a year, all very high-end 94, 95 grades wines. And
wow.
We were, it hasn't been as successful as we would like it to be. First, it was expensive to join, but we're in the business to raise money for Cool Cars for Kids. We're going to have it anyway. And we're going to make some money, not what we anticipated. I think today is the last day you can sign up for the event. The minimum fee is $500 contribution, and it goes up from a $500 level to a $1,500 level to a $2,500 level to a $5,000 level to a $10,000 level. Within these different levels, you receive wine gifts. For example, this campaign's sponsorship level at $10,000, you get a 2-year membership to the Vermeil Wines Signature Wine Club, which is our top caliber wines, and you get 2 years. You get 2 cases of, which are $1,400 a case. You get that as gifts and other different things. What you receive in as you go through the lower levels, of course, naturally you don't get as much. But anyway, most people entered at the $500 level, and all benefits are go directly to Cool Cars for Kids and helping research programs revolving around genetic problems at birth and pre-birth.
Wow, this is so cool. I love this. I want to go back a little bit in time here with a dad who stayed up all night working on his cars in the garage. No doubt that was a big influence on you and your passion for cars these days. Can you talk a little bit about your dad and this?
Yes, well, the race car was built in 1926 in San Francisco, backyard homemade job, and it has a Model A Miller Schofield overhead valve head, and, my dad drilled the crankshaft, created an oil pressure system in it, which in the old days it did not have that, and he never drove the cars. He was the mechanic on that car. Jack Pachetaw drove number 7 for a long time. In fact, the car won the West Coast Championship for points. Never won a main event, but it finished second a lot of times. It was a very successful car and was my dad's pride and joy. He later went into other cars, ending up with a 270 Offenhauser that actually my brother drove part of the time.
Wow.
But he never drove himself. He then became president of the organization up and down the West Coast there, and was called NARC, N-A-R-C. And he is now in the Sprint Car Hall of Fame in Knoxville, Iowa, due to his contribution to the sport of auto racing, sprint car racing in Northern California. So I took the old car and set it aside, and another old car, and I restored them both. Restored them way beyond what they really were. When they really were running, it was a race car.
Yeah,
you got dirt on them, mud on them, dents on them, yeah. But I restored it for showing both cars, and especially number 7. In fact, we won a first place at Amelia Island with it, a blue ribbon for its class. But it's a classic old car, and I just brought it home from being in the Eastern Shore Motor Museum for over a year, and I'm going to do a little work on it, drive it, have some fun with it. Then I have donated it to the Sprint Car Hall of Fame in Knoxville, Iowa, when I'm finished playing with it. But it is a classic old-timer, believe me.
Wow, it sounds awesome. What a fun way to grow up with a dad that was out tinkering with cars. Now, you took a little different course in your life, of course, as a coach and what you've done. And we're going to talk about that in a second here, because I'd love to hear more about what I like to call a driving inspiration for you. You were the inspiration for so many players for so long as a coach. But who was your driving inspiration? Who was a key mentor in your life, younger in life, that really was influential and helped you move forward?
Well, it all starts with my father and his work ethic and his integrity and all those kind of things. It's just common sense principles to life, really. But the guy that inspired me from a football standpoint was my high school football coach. Now, the high school only had 130 kids in it. Okay, we only had 19 kids on the team.
The whole school?
Yeah.
Wow.
And my senior class had 29 kids in it. But then he came, Bill Wood came to Calistoga High School in 1954, his first year as the teacher out of college, the College of Pacific, and became my football coach. And he sort of inspired me. He told me, if you worked at it, you could play college football if you wanted to. And no one ever told me that. And I went to junior college, got my grades up, and went to San Jose State. And I kept in contact with him, and he was coaching high school football in the area, and I kept staying in contact with him. Pretty quick, I said, the reason I'm going to school is because I want to be a football coach just like Bill Wood.
Oh, nice.
So I started out in high school coaching, and then just every time someone offered me a better job, I took it.
Well, that's the way to climb that ladder for sure. No doubt there was some talent there that helped you climb that ladder. Going back to this Concours event, what's really unique about it is where it takes place. Can you talk a little bit to the listeners about the Simeon Museum?
Well, the Simeon Museum maybe is the best kept secret in Philadelphia. It was recently voted within this year by a large group of people considered the number one motor museum of its kind in the world. I mean, it's unbelievable. They have all these old cars, every vintages you can think of more foreign because so much more started over there, but with video displays and it's a fabulous big museum, and I think it's gradually being more nationally recognized. There's always visitors there seeing the different things from the Alphas to the Bugattis to the all these different cars, and of all cars, I can't even pronounce their names. Okay? And going back into the early 1900s with great histories.
Yeah.
With great owners, and then in the racing models, the great drivers of the Grand Prix and all this kind of stuff. It's outstanding, and we've been holding our events there each year. This year is a little different. First, it's a Concours d'Elegance, the Corvette, okay, the American sports car. And we're going to have a rally. It starts at 8 o'clock in the morning at a Chester County location, and they end up at 10 o'clock in the morning at Simeon Museum, and we have a real nice rally, and we'll have many beautiful Corvette sports cars, and then on into the museum, the entire display of unbelievable. It takes a long time to go around and really study these cars and listen to the videos and read the histories. It'll be a great day. And from there, we got the Philadelphia mascot going to be there, the Eagles mascot. We're going to have the cheerleaders there, and we'll have some food. And the tickets are $25. It's hard to go any place today for $25.
Yeah, no kidding.
Especially and spend as much time as you'd like to spend.
Can't even go to Starbucks for $25 these days. So.
Yeah, there's a Corvette panel discussion starts at 12:30, and the fun lasts until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And if people are interested, they can go online right now and get their tickets with PhiladelphiaConcours.com and get their tickets right now so they have them when they get on site at the Simeon Museum.
Getting back to the wines, can people is there a website for Vermeil wines for people, if they can't be a part of the wine tasting, that they can go and purchase the wines?
Sure. Just Google Vermeil Wines.
Okay, that'll be simple
Google
to
Vermeil
do.
Wines. You'll see it. We have a nice website. We have a tasting room in Napa, 1018 First Street in Napa, California. Open now. It was closed all through the pandemic, but it's open now and doing well.
Awesome.
We have a club membership of over 350 people. In fact, we have almost 120 club members here in Pennsylvania, where I live on a permanent basis.
Nice.
I'll be in the Napa Valley here in a week. We're going out there and do some wine work and that kind of thing. And then I go back for a month during the harvest, late August or in September.
Yeah, well, when I first was connected with you, I was told that you had a little hobby about making wines, but I figured that was in the Al Garage behind your house, not that you had an actual winery. So I think that's fantastic. You know, another thing I want to mention about the Philadelphia Concours, because we talked about the Cool Kids program, is you're going to also be having youth judging at this event too, right?
That's what I understand. You know, that's what I understand. There's something for everybody that comes. It's a great way. Say you're a dad or a grandpa and want to bring your son to look at some cars and look at the Corvette collection that'll be displayed, and then all the rest of the cars there. And even right now, I was just there yesterday. There's a lot of little cars with. Geez, I didn't even know they made them. You know, little tiny kids cars there with little, one-cylinder engines in them.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very cool. Well, let's take a short break. We come back. I want to talk a little bit about a challenge, which is almost an absurd question to mention to you because with a career in professional sports, challenges happen every minute, every hour, every day. But keep that thought in mind, and we'll be right back. What began as a charitable car show has grown into the world's greatest collector car auctions, raising over $133 million for charitable organizations to date. For nearly 50 years, automotive enthusiasts from all over the world have enjoyed the Barrett-Jackson collector car auctions, and I'm a huge fan. Regarded as the barometer of the collector car industry, their auctions are world-class lifestyle events where thousands of the world's most sought-after, unique, and valuable automobiles cross the block in front of a global audience, in person, on TV, or streamed online. Barrett-Jackson produces the world's greatest collector car auctions in Scottsdale, Arizona, Palm Beach, Florida, Las Vegas, Nevada, and new for 2021, Houston, Texas. The excitement of Barrett-Jackson auctions is contagious, and a unique experience is not to be missed. And coming soon, something new for you Cars Yeah listeners, I'll be teaming up with Craig Jackson on the first ever Barrett-Jackson podcast, coming to your mobile devices every week. Listen here on Cars Yeah and check out the Barrett-Jackson website for unique details on this new, exciting podcast that I'm very proud to be a part of. And be sure to visit barrettjackson.com today. Barrett-Jackson, the world's greatest collector car auctions. I've discovered Linkage. It's a new quarterly publication and website that covers the automotive market, driving, restoring, collecting, and discovering your passion for motor vehicles. Linkage is about experiences, opinions, and values. Linkage is an actual informed, reasoned opinion based on first-hand experiences. A talented Linkage team covers the automotive world, the people who share your passion and mine, smart, considered, rational, and experienced opinions, ones you can learn from and grow. That includes our passion that drives auctions and the collector car market. So come with me and join us on this journey. And be sure to use the code CARSYEAH when you subscribe, and they'll give you $10 off. Boom! Linkage, geared for the automotive life. Subscribe today at linkagemag.com. So, Coach, I like to talk with my guests about a big challenge they face somewhere along the line. And this really isn't so much about the challenge, although I want you to explain that. This is more about that lesson that we learn from challenges that turns out to be a very positive part of our life that we can take forward to be successful. Sounds a lot like football.
No question.
Talk to us a little bit about a major challenge that you faced, and then how did you flip that into a positive?
Well, I think the greatest challenge I ever took on was taking over the Philadelphia Eagle job. They hadn't won in years, and they had traded away all their draft choices. In my first year, we didn't have a first, second, or third round pick in 1976. In 1977, we didn't have a first, second, or third round pick. In 1978, we didn't have a first or second round pick. And you normally rebuild a football team by drafting, fine players out of college. But when you don't have those, you have to take a different approach. So what we did, recognizing we sure as hell weren't going to outsmart the Hall of Fame coaches that were already in our division, the Tom Landrys and these kind of people. You better go to work. And we felt we may not outsmart people, but we can outwork them with our youth and enthusiasm and passion for the game and surround ourselves with kids. And we just went to work. 5 years later, we were in a Super Bowl. We got beat by a better team that day. But anyway, it was all wrapped around a work ethic.
I read about you that you had what people like to call a tough as nails work ethic at practices. And one of the quotes that I've heard you say is, "No one ever drown in sweat."
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, over the years, I felt if I had a strength, I had the ability to make young people realize that hard work is not a form of punishment. It's a solution. It's a problem solver. And there's actually no correlation between working less and getting better. So all we tried to do was keep working better, smarter, and harder. And it paid off. It took our Rams to the Super Bowl to win it, Super Bowl 34. It took our Chiefs to the playoffs my third year there. Hell, we won 9 straight games. We were the only undefeated team in the league. But why? Because they went to work. Yeah. And they learned to appreciate the value of hard work and recognized and even gave a level of self-respect for knowing that their commitment was rewarding because of their own personal effort to get better.
It's something that we're dealing with right now a bit in our country when it comes to work and work ethic. We're seeing challenges with that. What are some ways you would advise listeners if they have a young person in their life that they're trying to motivate, they're trying to help them understand there's nothing wrong with sweating, nothing wrong with working, and in fact, it's a really good thing for self-preservation and just feeling good about yourself. What are some ways you would advise people to help young people that maybe haven't quite seen that yet?
Well, I think number one, you surround them with good people. People that care about them. And then you surround them by good examples. Mm-hmm. When someone comes to work and everybody is working hard and they find themselves wanting to catch up and follow their model, and the more good examples you have in your own building or on your own team, the more infectious that attitude becomes within the overall profile of your organization. If you have bad examples and they're still there, then young kids see that, and it doesn't send the right message to them. It doesn't help them. But I think they've got to make sure they trust you, the leader. Mm-hmm. You can have all the plans in the world, but they won't follow your map for success unless they believe in you first. So you've got to develop that trust level, and trust is not physical. It's emotional. And you develop that by developing relationships with these kids. So they listen, And I always say, guys, if the good Lord wanted you to talk more than listen, it'd given you 2 mouths and 1 ear,
My mom used to say that.
Yeah, but it's important to, listen to the good examples.
Yeah.
Follow their example,
Absolutely.
Build relationships, yeah. And be honest, be sincere. Don't kid yourself. Don't kid your friends. You can do this. And I think you asked me about the toughest challenge. That was in Philadelphia. But I'll tell you this: 12 guys off that original roster went to a Super Bowl 5 years later.
There you go.
Without first, second, third round draft choices.
Yeah.
Because everywhere they looked, they saw somebody trying to do what they were trying to do and do it right.
Wow. Awesome. Great wisdom there. I like to ask my guests about bucket lists, things they want to accomplish in life. You've accomplished so much. A lot of people would think, well, time for Coach to maybe just wants to sit back and relax on the porch. I have a feeling you're not that kind of guy. So if you look ahead to your life with the Vermeil wine, with this Concours event, with how you're helping people through Cool Kids, what's another big bucket list item on your list, Coach?
Well, selfishly, I'd still like to drive an old Indianapolis race car around the Indianapolis track by myself.
There you
I'd
go.
I'd like to do that, even if I went 40 miles an hour. Now, Mario Andretti gave me a ride around the Pocono track, the 2.5-mile track, in the Toyota 2-passenger car.
Yes.
And we turned a lap 190 miles an hour, and that was really a sensation.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, but and with Mario driving, who's maybe the best ever. But anyway, I'd like to do that. That's on the bucket list. I may never do it, but I've been to the Indianapolis race a couple of times. But I grew up listening to that race and watching it, and that was the big. I grew up wanting to be a driver that would drive in that race someday. So that's a bucket list. The other thing, I think the other bucket list is to see if I can't make a contribution to organizations such as Cool Cars for Kids. The organization is filled with people with passion, but not about themselves, about other people. And it's very rewarding to be around these people. They're not football players. They're not million-dollar quarterbacks. They're just wonderful people that want to do something nice for other people that aren't as fortunate. And I'd like to see that program really become strong. And I know my wife and I have a fund that's supporting a full-time research scientist at Children's Hospital in genetic disorders. Mm-hmm. So we get, that's a bucket list. It's getting filled up for us right now.
No doubt. No doubt. Great things you guys are doing. I always like to ask my guests about a really special vehicle in their life. Obviously, this sprint car, Black Beauty, is that for you. I'd like to see you in that car driving around the Indy 500 track. I think that would be pretty darn cool. I know it's a sprint car, not an Indy car, but what the heck? I think it'd be pretty fun. Is that really the most special car in your life when you look back, or is there another ride that has great memories for you?
Well, there was my dad's best friend, his name was Grant Douglas, had a beautiful red sprint car. It was very famous. In fact, there's a book written about the car, and it's been remodeled a few times. It has a D.O. Hal in it, H-A-L, double overhead cam Hal engine in it. And I completely restored that because my dad, at the end of his racing interest, was given that car as a gift. Okay.
Wow. Oh, wow.
And I restored it, and I ran it in Calistoga. There's a race in Calistoga on a very, very nice half-mile old racetrack there. Mm-hmm. It's called Calistoga Speedway, home of Louis Vermeil, and the engine blew on me. So I'm in the process now of restoring the engine, but it's very hard to do, okay, because no one makes parts for it. But I think within the year, it'll be running again. That's my second car. And my third most famous car is my first car I bought for $15, a 1936 five-window coupe, okay?
Yeah.
The transmission had dropped out of it, and the guy just pulled it off the side of the road and left it there.
Oh, gosh.
And we knew who owned it, so my dad contacted the guy. He said he'd take $15 for it, and then I restored that. Okay, I restored that all the way up, put hydraulic brakes in it, Columbia 2-speed rear end, a 3/4 race V8 in it, and all, it was painted black. My dad also had a body shop. My girlfriend then, who's now my wife for 65 years, did the upholstery work in it, and
wow.
It was a nice little car. In fact, our first child's baby bed was right behind the one seat, the little platform they had under the back window.
Yeah.
God, today they'd put you in jail for putting a child there, But we loved that car, and later we sold that and got a 1950 Ford. But the 36 Ford creates many positive thoughts in my mind.
Well, it sounds like you're a very hands-on mechanic. You got some skill sets from your dad.
Yeah, I did. When I was in college, and eventually the people in the athletic department heard that I was a mechanic. And because I had a child in college, I started working part-time and then summer full-time at Vince's Flying A Garage, Vince DeMonto, on Ozzie Street. And I used to bring the coaches' cars there. I could get the parts wholesale through my dad's ID number. Uh-huh. I'd work on the car there, and they'd pay me the labor. So I was making extra money to live on and feed my family
there you go.
By working as a mechanic. And when I started out as a high school coach, my summer job was a mechanic at Vince's Flying A Garage.
No kidding. Oh, that's so cool. Well, very, very cool. I love it. So here's a question nobody, I guarantee you, has ever asked you this before. I'm going to crawl into your head a little bit here, Coach. If you were manifest as a vehicle, this isn't what you want to be. This is your attributes as a human, your drive, your coaching ability into a vehicle. What would that vehicle be? But more importantly, why?
That takes some real thought. I'm not used to thinking that deep anymore.
Oh, come on.
I don't know. It would be, I love the idea of a double overhead cam engine.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Uh-huh.
I love the idea of small bar, high RPM, huge horsepower, okay, like the Novi engines used to put it out, those kind of things. So, I think an old Indianapolis Roadster with a 270 off in it, and if I hit the jackpot somewhere down the road, I'll still buy one. Okay, I'd love to have one. The old Curtis and the A.J. Watson type.
Oh yeah.
I went up to the Poconos and took number 7 up there to run here 3 years ago. In fact, the last race they've had it in terms of Indy cars. But they had an antique day, antique car thing, and I ran it around. Of course, it broke down on me. But
They do that.
there were a number of old roadsters there, and I got to sit in them. It was so exciting.
Yeah, they're beautiful old cars, and I know they bring a lot of them back to Indy over the years, where people bring those old cars back and they drive them around the track. I don't think they have races in them, but
they do.
Yeah, drive them. Yeah, they're beautiful, beautiful vehicles. And when you look at those, I always think, oh my gosh, those guys were the bravest people in the world to get in those things and race. Wow.
Mark, especially compared to today.
Oh gosh.
You talk about the Vukovic's and the Herdebices and the Parsons and the Agajanians.
Yes.
And the oh my gosh, the Unser family. I just see one just passed away. But anyway, you talk about brave guys. Oh my God.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I always ask about how people love to give back. We talked about your Cool Cars for Kids program. Are there ways that listeners today, if they want to contribute or help be a part of this, they can learn more about it?
Oh, sure. I think just Google Cool Cars for Kids, Philadelphia. Children's Hospital. Hey, there's always a way to find a way to give money. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
It's
absolutely.
always there. It always exists.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But right now for tickets, you can go PhiladelphiaConcours.com.
Okay.
But you can Google Cool Cars for Kid in Philadelphia, and you'll get all the information you need to make a contribution if you'd like to do it.
Awesome.
It's a great organization, run by all volunteers. And Dr. Ian Krantz is a full-time operating doctor at CHOP and doing this on the side to help raise money for the things that he's involved in, helping other children, So it's a great program.
People helping people, that's what it's all about.
You bet.
Being an inspiration as you are, Coach, no doubt perhaps some books have been played important parts in your life. I like to ask my guests if they would recommend a book that they could learn from, they could be motivated by. Is there a particular book you'd like to recommend today?
I read the Navy SEAL books. I just read both Tom Shea's book, General Stanley McChrystal's books, who's a professor now in the Ivy League. He was running our services in Afghanistan until Obama fired him. But anyway, I love reading those true leaders. And I like leadership books because sometimes it reinforces what you believe, one, and also helps you correct what you might have been doing wrong, and also it adds to the depth of your knowledge in regard to leadership. But I like to read what leaders write that have been in real leadership positions.
Yes.
I don't have anything against college professors or any of these guys that write these philosophical books. I have nothing against them at all. But I'll tell you, a guy like Stanley McChrystal or these guys, Tom Shea and all these kind of books, they've been there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They've had the gun sight on them, and they know what true leadership is all about, and they're great examples for us younger people and our older people as well. So I enjoy reading that. I really do.
Have you ever thought about writing a book about your leadership skills and what you've contributed to so many young people?
Yeah, I contracted to do one when I retired, and within 6 months I backed out on it.
It's a lot of work.
Well, no, it wasn't that. It's just that I don't have anything unique to say, and I've learned so much from a lot of people. I've worked for George Allen, Tommy Protho, John Ralston. I've been same staff with Bill Walsh and Jim Mora and these kind of people. Yeah. Mike Martz, Al Saunders, all great coaches. I don't think I could write anything any better than what somebody else has already written. And and the other thing is I don't know who to give credit to in regard to documenting where I got these thoughts, because I've never stopped studying it.
Right.
And so I'm plagiaristic, and I learn and I adapt, and it becomes part of my philosophy. And I don't want to take advantage of somebody else's knowledge and claiming it's all Vermeil.
Well, you've done what you said earlier in our talk today, and that is surround yourself with really great people. Yeah. Yeah, we are the culmination of those we surround ourselves with. Such an important lesson.
Oh, no question. Yeah. You know who really sold me on that concept? The great Chuck Knox. I worked for Chuck Knox his first year as a head coach, and he always said, "Give me all the good people, and I'll kick your butt."
No doubt.
And that is so simple and so fundamental to easy to understand.
Yes.
The hardest thing to do is to determine who the real good people are.
Yes. Yeah. Mom always told me, pick your friends very wisely and pick people that are stronger than you because you'll
No
aspire to be
question.
like them. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
smarter, yeah.
Yeah. We'll take one more short break. When we come back, we're going to go on the ultimate drive with Coach. So sit tight, keep the seatbelts on. We'll be right back. Did you know that Cars Yeah is in the top 1% of all podcasts based on listenership, according to Libsyn, the premier RSS feed for podcasts in the United States? That's right. And Cars Yeah is the only 5-day-a-week automotive-focused podcast for you to get your message into the ears of thousands of listeners daily from all over the world. Plus, DuPont Registry recommended Cars Yeah is one of their top 10 car podcasts for you to enjoy. Cars Yeah has experienced tremendous growth, plus your ads are evergreen, meaning they never go away. And more listeners find Cars Yeah every day for their daily dose of automotive inspiration. Do you want to expose your brand to a highly targeted list of automotive enthusiasts in a very unique and very personal way? Well, I can help you. Contact me, Mark Green, at mark@carsyeah.com or through the website at carsyeah.com today to learn more. Have you looked under your hood recently? The average car today has more than 70 computers and 100 million lines of code. Today and tomorrow, being a professional technician requires an understanding of technology, computers, and electrical systems that are highly advanced and very complex. Cars Yeah is honored to support TechForce Foundation as our charity of choice. Their efforts to help young people pursue a technical education and a fulfilling career as automotive techs is the key to an inspired life. Through scholarships, grants, and good old-fashioned hands-on experiences with vehicles, TechForce and Cars Yeah are working together to connect young people with viable careers. Join us and learn more by visiting techforce.org today. All right, we're going to go on the ultimate drive, Coach. So you get to pick the vehicle. You get to pick the person you're with. This could be somebody living or deceased. And where would you be driving this vehicle? So what does the ultimate drive look like for you?
Geez, that's, I don't know. I would have to say I would, just because I believe it, my passenger would be my wife of 65 years, Carol Vermeil.
Yeah.
She's been a great friend, a great wife, a great mother, a great grandmother, now a great grandmother.
Whoa!
And assistant football coach and everything else. And I don't know what car I would pick to get in. I really don't know. The American cars are so good today. My best friend owns a Lexus dealership, and I'm overwhelmed at how nice that car is to drive.
Oh yeah.
And not too long ago, I rented an Infiniti in Missouri and drove 500 miles across Missouri to get to Kansas City.
Uh-huh.
And I was just so impressed with what a wonderful drive it was.
Yeah.
There are so many nice cars on the road. And, I grew up working on the old cars, the Dodge, the Chryslers, the Plymouths, the Chevys, the Nashes, the Hudsons.
Oh, gosh.
Geez, I hated the Nash. I hated the Hudson. But anyway, I think I would pick a Lexus, the beautiful Lexus sedan, and drive across country with my wife and stop at the best dining room. I love good food and good wine, and I would take that trip and I would plan, well, I'm going to get here tonight because this is where the best restaurant in this part of the country is, and they serve a great wine, and move across the country that way. We've talked about it, and we haven't done it, and we are running out of time.
Well, you need to do that. I'll tell you, I think this pandemic helped everyone realize the importance of getting out, being with family, being with friends.
No question.
And we live in the best country in the world by far, and there's so much to see here, and it's so vast, and the variety is so enormous that we're seeing a lot of people out on the roads these days. I have a lot of my friends that are doing that as well. Coach, you've taken us on a wonderful ride today, and I want to thank you for spending some time with me today and talking about this great event that you're a part of in the Philadelphia Concours. Could you leave us with maybe a mantra, a success quote, or parting words of wisdom here today?
Well, I always tell my guys, and Roosevelt said this years ago, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah.
That's true in the National Football League. It's true in any business you're in. People have an unbelievable tolerance for praise. And I've always tried to work on the positive side of motivating people. And, very few people have the ability to perform better than their own self-esteem. Mm-hmm. So it's very, very important for young people to receive positive fortification as often as they can and discipline when they need it.
Absolutely. Great words of wisdom there. I want to do a shout out to Judy Stropas and John Zarab that connected me with Coach today. Thank you guys for bringing another great guest here to Cars Yeah. And you listeners, this is a great event. If you're going to be in this part of the country coming up here very soon, go out to PhiladelphiaConcours.com. You can get tickets online. And the Simeon Museum, what a better place to have a show. Coach, hey, thanks for being so generous today with your time and your expertise and for sharing your wisdom with us today. Until you and I talk again, I'll see you at the Philadelphia Concours d'Elegance.
Thank you very much. Enjoyed it, Mark. Fun to talk cars.
You bet.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah.